Friends, this is Andrew Phipps. Thank you for being a part of what we attempt to do here. I think it's crucial that every citizen become involved, become aware, informed, and active in trying to make this government be responsible to the citizens. All of us, or many of us, have children, grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren, as I do. And we owe it to them that we don't waste their future, that we don't pile up a debt so enormous, so colossal, that future generations will have such a tax burden upon them to try to correct the situation that it becomes almost futile. I think we need to be good stewards of the monies. Taxes happens to be what we impose upon hardworking citizens that go and do their best in their individual and separate capacities to make this society a better place, whether it's a professional, whether it's just a job in some other area. We shouldn't demean any work. People that work on an assembly line making cars are important. People that cut your hair, they are important people. People that drive cabs, people that provides health services, people that work in hospitals. We all are trying to do what we can. Sure, we want to be paid, and that's altogether proper. But we should add dignity to the work. Every individual ought to do the job to which he has been assigned, to do it to the best of his or her ability. We owe it. I think the biblical mandate is that we're to render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. We're supposed to try to be a valuable worker, a valuable employee. It was never intended that a person go on a job and not even try to do the job, but ask for rewards and advancements. I know that's been part of human history, but it doesn't mean that we ought to continue with that. There's dignity in work. The Apostle Paul said if a man doesn't work, he shouldn't eat. And so people that have physical, mental disabilities, we take those into consideration, and I think we should. But on the other hand, there are lots of people that are trying to scam the system, people that want to take advantage of their employer, people that don't want to show up, or they don't want to be accountable to their job requirements. Their job performance is maybe way under par. That should not be. We're all members of this society, and I believe it was John Kennedy that said, God's work here on earth must truly be our own. Hello, friends. This is Andrew Phipps, and I believe that we need all of the materials that we can gather to help us as we combat the attack upon our faith, our family, and our freedoms. We need to be educated, and I have a handbook that has been given to state legislatures. It's been given to members of Congress. It's a colorfully created handbook that has graphs, charts, quotes, and different things in it. You'll be impressed with it. And also we have DVDs. We have CDs that are God and Country, Return to Greatness, and Faith, Family, and Freedom, some other wonderful materials. See the contact information on the screen. Be sure that you order some because these will be of a tremendous help. They are supplemental materials to help you in your Christian walk. And may God bless.
Listen to the story in this song. God already knew.
Before he promised him a child, God looked at Abraham and smiled. God already knew. With Isaac on the altar laid, God knew he'd spare his life that day. God already knew. Trust the heart of Jesus when the sun will not break through. And when taken by surprise, know that God already knew. God already knew. Before he heard his sisters cry, God knew that Lazarus would rise. God already knew. And before he healed that crippled man, God knew that he would walk again. God already knew.
Before my heart was made to break, God knew that he would make a way.
God already knew.
And before you face tomorrow's task, God sees it all as in the past.
God already knew. Trust the heart of Jesus when the sun will not break through. And when taken by surprise, know that God already knew. God already knew. God already knew.
Already knew.
Andrew Phipps here. Again, thank you for joining our Faith, Family, Freedom broadcast. Let me take just a moment to comment about the FEMA help in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee and Virginia and those areas. I think the town of Swannanoa, North Carolina, was completely devastated. Recently, I came through that area and devastation was everywhere. And I think at that time, the Biden administration, they didn't want to comment or concentrate much on those areas. I think they didn't feel like that politically that those areas supported their policies, and they don't. And they have a reason not to support the Biden agenda. President Biden and the others that were in control took a look somewhere else. But the very moment, so to speak, that President Trump got in, he made a trip just within 2 or 3 days to that area of devastation was an encouragement, and basically said, FEMA, you're not doing your job. He said it when he went to California and met with the mayor out there and the governor. Basically, he said, hey, we need to be attacking these issues now. We don't need 2 weeks or a month of red tape, bureaucracy and analysis and all like that. We need to hear the hammers hitting the nails and saws putting boards and cutting them and where they can be used and getting homes rebuilt. We don't want to put people, especially down in North Carolina, where the temperature, especially at night, gets cooler and colder. Had it not been for the churches, I think that the Western North Carolina particularly, they would still be reeling and rocking from what they had to experience. My heart bleeds for that area. We prayed for them. Our church sent aid. Other churches have helped. Were it not for the good Christian motives and nature of Christian churches, North Carolina would be in a more deplorable condition now than it was then, when one of the, cataclysmic occurrences in the geography and in the weather patterns, and this area faced devastation like no one could imagine. So let's give the people the credit that deserve it. FEMA, another government organization, is usually the last person in and probably the first person out. So that's my take on that today.
Hey friend, this is Joni Phipps with Kinsman and Company, and I design and create King James scripture products for personal and church use. If you're looking for King James gifts or items for your church, please check out our website. It's kinsmanandcompany.shop. And if you've shopped with us before, we want to thank you so much for your patronage. By shopping with Kinsman and Company, you are helping to support missionaries worldwide. And if you've shopped before and you haven't been there in a while, come look at our new products. Thanks.
Hello, friends. This is Andrew Phipps, and I invite you to join us for our YouTube presentation of Faith, Family, and Freedom. Go to Andrew Phipps. I believe that you will enjoy the presentations that we have on television in many areas, also on radio. Just go to the YouTube Andrew Phipps. Join us as we present Faith, Family, and Freedom. I hope that you enjoy it. And this is Andrew Phipps. Friends, this is Andrew Phipps here, and Doge, D-O-G-E, it may be different appellations or it may go under different nomenclatures, but I think it means the Department of Government Efficiency. And I certainly applaud Elon Musk and those that have been getting with the president in trying to use their skills, their resources to sort out waste and inefficiencies in government. I don't think anybody should be opposed to this. I mean, if somebody is stealing from your wallet and I tell you who's doing it or where I think it is, I'm doing you a favor. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm trying to cut you out of a job or something. It just simply says, hey, here is the waste. You know, in 1964, there was a commission they called the Grace Commission, and they tried and they did a lot of research in trying to eliminate waste and fraud and all like that from government. And, you know, as an example, and I'm certainly not going to say I recommend all of this, but for example, they noticed that it would be better in the public transit systems of the country, whether it was Boston or somewhere else, that the government would be money ahead to get a limousine to come and pick you up, take you where you need to go, whether it was grocery shopping or your doctor appointment, than it would be to have a system of mass transit. Well, I'm not saying we can do away with mass transit. I'm not saying that at all. Maybe it might be impossibility, but it's worth looking towards. It's worth seeing if there can be savings, if there can be a better way of doing that. And I know when we get personal feelings in it, if it affects my job, then probably from a selfish standpoint, I want to continue that procedure, whether it's cost effective or not. But citizens demand, and they deserve to know that they're getting the most buck for the dollar, that they're getting what a dollar could produce for them. We don't want to just spend money like frivolously or with no accountability. And so this Department of Government Efficiency that's looking at so many areas, maybe foreign, domestic bureaucracies. Now, there is an area that certainly needs to be examined. We get all these bureaucrats. They're not held accountable in many areas. They're not elected positions. So these people have their job, and many of them are protected by civil service, or they're in that job for life. And so oftentimes it's waste and inefficiency. And I think what Elon Musk and others that have volunteered their help, now notice, they don't take a salary. They don't get paid for trying to find out if there's a better way to peel the apple, if there's a better way to get the services that we demand. Like I said, I'm not saying that I'm against public transportation in no way. It may be something that is quite necessary, but maybe, just maybe, that's one area among hundreds and possibly thousands of other areas that, like in our health providers, maybe there's a system there that where we can lower the benefits to the middleman. Maybe we can get cost-effective drugs and pharmaceutical needs and do it at a better and cheaper and more efficient way. So I'm all for that kind of efficiency.
If you'd like to have any of our products, we do have a Faith, Family, and Freedom handbook. We have some DVDs. We did one with Pastor Jim Scudder in Washington, D.C. a little over a year ago. It's called Can You Find God in D.C.? I think you will enjoy the beautiful programming that was done in the Jefferson and Lincoln Memorials and other places. If you want any of our products, just call us or get in touch with us as would be indicated there on the screen.
It will soon be time once again to set sail with your hosts Andrew and Shirlene Phipps. Soon it is the 2026 Singing at Sea Cruise, January 26th through January 31st, 2026. On board, you will enjoy music from 30 Southern gospel groups. You will enjoy 4 outstanding preachers, dine on delicious food, and it is a complete Christian family cruise. The bars and the casinos are all closed. To reserve your spot on this year's Singing at Sea Cruise, call Andrew Phipps at 744-4239, 765-744-4239, or find out more at Phipps-Faith-Family-Freedom.org. Keep in mind, this cruise sells out quickly. Just a small deposit will reserve your space, but act quickly. And again, the phone number to call is 744-4239, 744-4239 for the 2026 Singing at Sea Cruise, January 26th through the 31st, 2026, with your hosts, Andrew and Shirlene Phipps.
Several years ago, the late Tom Coburn, a U.S. Senator from Oklahoma, a gynecologist, a wonderful Christian man, gave me a book, Debt Bomb. And in that book, Senator Coburn, who was always trying to uncover unnecessary spending and all of the pork barrel spending that was going on, all of the entitlements, you know, these bills that come up to for our budget. Some people ask for a one bill, and some say we need two. Well, anyway, I think Newt Gingrich and back in the days of President Ronald Reagan, they tried to approach it by looking at it in two aspects. But regardless, these bills are so large, they are like two or three phone books put together or more. You know, we have a debt right now of 36 trillion, 474 billion and counting. Now that money is no way I could begin to tell you that I can wrap my head around it or my hands. It's you can see the numbers there are as they are just very quickly moving. I mean these are quicker than you can keep up with. And I feel like as Senator Coburn was trying to warn us that we have come to a point in time of debt reckoning. I'm not sure that the people that we have in the Congress are willing to make the hard choices, because some people will say, if I do so, it will end my political career, and it might. But at some time, we can only kick the can down the road so far. Whether we're dealing with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all of these spending, and they are spending. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say on Social Security, I know that's money we put into it, but it seems to me that we're spending, the recipients like myself are spending the people that are paying in now. So I don't know. It's a monetary and fiscal problem that's even baffling to the best of economists. I'm sure that if you could take several economists, you might get that many different opinions. But common sense would tell me that we can't continue to spend more than we take in. The government only has two ways of raising revenue, and that's by raising taxes or by borrowing. And we choose to do that. Our loan partner, the country that China has loaned us 42%. I don't know what would happen if they called in their debt or had the authority to call it in. But I know one thing, the Lord in Holy Scripture told us that we ought to consider the cost of building a home or a house, and that if we didn't, it might end up being built on the sand, and when the storms come, the house would collapse. The Lord warned us about that, said it ought to be built upon a rock. Now, I know there's probably various interpretations, but at least he was telling us to consider the cost. We haven't done that. You know, just a few years ago, we basically didn't have a real big budget. You know, back in the days of Calvin Coolidge, we had surplus. And people want to get on any president that says, well, we ought to reduce the tax burden. They say, oh, yeah, but we ought to increase the corporations. Well, you don't tax a corporation, you tax the people within the corporation. That corporation is not an abstract entity, as it were. It's people, they're stockholders, they're officers of that corporation. And I think that when you start taxing more and more and more, and I think that Democrats will say, well, that's the old trickle-down philosophy. No, we have to live within our means. As I said, the government can either borrow or they can tax. I don't know. Tax is, I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes that said the power to tax is the power to destroy. Tax is a fee that we put on people for doing things. I applaud President Trump for saying Social Security should not be taxed. Tax on tips for waiters and waitresses should not be taxed. There are others. I'm not for taxing military people or people like that, but the tax code has become so expansive that many corporations today have people that all they do is deal with tax matters. You know, when we set up the Federal Reserve in 1913 under Woodrow Wilson, it was a system of reserve banks, and Ron Paul and others have been attacking the fallacies that these institutions are not capable of failing. Well, I think they are capable of failing. And like I said, none of us want to give up any benefits. And I don't know, I really don't know at what point in time I see the actual actuarial statistics. I mean, an insurance company, they base their premiums upon death rates, mortality rates, and all like that. That's why you can get insurance at a younger age than you can at an older age because of the statistics. Now, I don't know. 36,474,000,000,000 is a lot of money, regardless of how you skin the cat. And I think that you have to keep it in focus that, look, we can't continue just to tax and spend into oblivion. Our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are going to be assessed individually or as a family taxes. And I think for a family of four, it's well over $100,000 now, well over that. And so we've got all of these statistics. And I don't know if we have the people that have the audacity or that have the intestinal fortitude to tackle these problems. We may have to go to a system where we get some people elected to Congress that would just serve for a term, but we've got to make some hard choices. Unfortunately, political people look at it how it affects their career, and they know these will be what they call sacred cows, but we've got to do something about it. So regardless, we know that this is an aberration. It's making something into something that for which it was never intended, and we can't operate on fallacies and upon invalid statistics. The time of reckoning is here, I believe, and this is Andrew Phipps.